Mr. Minnick here, doing some exercises off of Visual Basics Writing Code Worksheet number 1. Okay, folks, you've memorized 3 objects by now in this class, and 3 properties, and 3 methods. Keep that in mind as you follow me in doing this worksheet. Well, objects are usually nouns, and in exercise number 1, the mentioning of a message box is an example of an object. And I sometimes just write M box because I don't have room and I'm lazy and I'm the teacher, so I'm allowed to do that. You are not. So that message box is one example of an object. Hey, look, in problem number 2, label is the example of an object that's being used there. So I will spell that out since it's short. Hey, in exercise 3, it's another label. In exercise number 4, the object isn't being mentioned. I'll get to that later. But in number 5, a label is being used, and number 6, a label, and number 7, ooh, tricky. The word label is mentioned over here, not as the, well, just it's mentioned over there. Okay, label, and most of this is all labels. So every one of these exercises makes use of one object. Let's, usually the object comes at the beginning of your answer. In Visual Basic, message boxes are typed into code using capital M and a capital B with no space. In English, you often put a space in between words, but in code, you have to spell it that way. I'd take points off if you put a space in there, because that's wrong. That would be pseudocode, not real code. Okay, what is it that causes Visual Basic to make a message box pop up? I know you memorized this already, but you should think what verb, what action happens. Show. Maxwell said. Good job. You'll be famous now for 20 years with this video being online. Show, he said confidently, and he said it with a capital S. I could just tell the way he pronounced it. Capital S. And there is no space in there. I should have made that fatter. Show is the example of a method that is being used in that line of code. Now the rest of it's just messy details. Anytime you have show, you need a big fat set of parentheses, and then you have to put inside there the text that you want to pop up. And it needs to be surrounded by double quotes. So that's just the way it is. There's the rest of the answer. Any questions on number 1? I'm going to scroll down now on purpose and do the related exercise number 5. There's no message box, but there's a label. And the name of the label, I use this Courier font to show you what the actual name in the code needs to be. Its name is LBL, lowercase LBL, step 1. So write that. I'm not very good at writing with this pen up here. I'm kind of messy. Try to be neater than me. So there's the object, the name of the object, spelled exactly as it's given to me in the problem. And now we have to ask, is there a dot show? No, that's not how labels work. Labels can't use dot show. For a label, the way you usually use it is you write dot text. Text is an example of a property in Visual Basic. And you do not put parentheses like you do with show, but rather you use an equal symbol and you just put whatever it is in the double quotes, whatever the text is that you want to show up on the screen at that time. In this case, you can see the exercise asks for the phrase design the interface. Don't be a person that goes and capitalizes things when you're not supposed to. Like there, I might take a point off of this answer. Because this answer, whoever copied it, well me, but just to prove a point, I did not copy that exactly. In the double quotes, I had a lowercase I there for interface. So please don't be changing things. If your boss says interface with a lowercase I, then that's what he means. And don't misspell things, that are given to you already spelled correctly. This is just the way labels work with a text property and the equal symbol. So I will show you that number 6, it's the same answer except, let's just quickly do number 6 here. Go ahead, you can leave whoever it was that needs to leave early back there. Watch the video tonight. It'll be online, and you can fill in the rest of the answers. For this one, nothing means two quotes next to each other. So put these two little quotes next to each other so that there's not even a space in between. That's what it means for nothingness to be somewhere. Just two quotes next to each other. That's what I mean by clearing a label. And by the way, that's called the empty string. Things with double quotes are called strings, and when there's nothing in there, it's called the empty string. Eventually, you'll read about that in my lecture notes. Okay, number 7 is just like number 5. You do that on your own time. Number 8 is also ditto mark, just like number 5. Number 9 is just like number 6. Do that for homework. It's just a slight change. I think you'll figure it out. Number 10, I'll give that answer to you. It's LBL step 1 dot text, and number 10 here, equals, well, does anybody want to take a guess or a good guess in this room? What do I want on the right-hand side of the equals in number 10? I've used up LBL step 1. What object is mentioned in number 10 that hasn't been used up in the answer yet? Yes, the student said back there quietly so that the people can't hear on the video. She said LBL step 2 is mentioned over here. So it's LBL step 2. And then you have to put dot text in here. It's just the way it works. So there's a free answer to number 10. We'll talk more about it in the future week. I'm going to scroll up now. You can watch this video tonight if you missed any of that. I only have one more minute or two before the bell rings. I have to help you with numbers 1 through 4. Don't forget here, if you're taking notes, an example of a property that I already taught you in this worksheet is text, the text property. Now, number 2, to make something invisible, it's whatever the name of the object is, LBL step 1, dot visible equals true. The word true with a capital T is how you make something visible. Visible is an example of another property, like text. But instead of saying hello world or something like that, it's the word true with no double quotes. How do you think the answer to number 3 is going to end if it's going to be invisible, Brian? What do I change?
Turn it false.
Yeah, equals false. Good job, Brian. You're a natural at this stuff. Basically the first week of class here, and you already figured out that the opposite of true is false, and the opposite of visible is invisible. And you guys can fill in what goes in front of the equal symbol there for full credit when you do the homework. The last one I have to do, to make a program end, like when you hit the wall in Flappy Wings, it's application.exit. The name of the object is application, kind of like your app, the whole app itself. And then the verb that ends it is exit with a capital E, no spaces here. And you do need this annoying set of parentheses. So to finish up here before the bell rings, another example of an object is application, and another example of a method is exit. That is officially due for homework tomorrow. You fill in whatever I left blank.